so good to see you all here today. We are so excited to present this year's middle school and high school honor band concert. There are a lot of people that will be talking today to kind of contextualize what you're seeing, but just know that the students you see sitting on the stage today have earned their right to be here as committed music students in our education system. So can we give it up for them? There's some way more important people than me that are going to be up here directly, but I'm the Director of Arts Education for Portland Public Schools. Thank you. It's an incredibly meaningful job, and when I meet people at parties, they're like, your job sounds so fun, and it is fun. But it's not without some hard work, because over the last 9 years I've been at central office, we've increased arts education for K-5 students in particular to have access to music and visual arts by 80% over 9 years. And if you know anything about arts education, it is about dedicated practice and time in the craft over long, sustained periods of time. So it's important for our kiddos from kindergarten all the way through to the moment they decide, yes, I want to try to master this skill and get deeper into this curriculum to this stage, right? There is a direct connection between all of those things. On your program, on the back, you'll see a QR code, and I just want to direct your attention to this for a very important reason, is that if you didn't know it, our district has a strategic plan for arts education. It was built over several years with lots of stakeholders, and in that process, we attempted to define for our district, what does it mean for every single PPS student to have a high-quality arts education? And so what is manifested in this plan is all the work that all of our stakeholders did to define that, and then to set the charge going forward to say, how are we going to make everybody accountable for this dream? And so you're starting to see the fruits of that labor, and we're hoping to continue to strive toward those positive goals for all students. Every kid should have access to the arts. It is a right. I just have 2 more short things. One is when we're in public, I always try to talk just briefly about the arts tax. The $35 you pay if you're a resident in this city. And a lot of people misunderstand the arts tax. So I'll say this. The biggest thing to know about the arts tax is it goes to fund teachers and teachers only. It doesn't fund my salary or anybody else that works centrally. It funds teachers to teach K-5 classes and only grades K through 5. And that's to deliver arts instruction in those elementary schools. It doesn't go towards supplies or anything else. So a lot of times when I'm at parties, people get confused and they say, you're where my arts tax is going. That's not actually true. It's actually going to the teachers that are in our building. So that's really good news that we can see that positive impact out in our schools. All right, and then finally, before I introduce the next person, I just wanted to take a show of hands. During our latest, very epic ice storm, how many raise of hands in the audience, and I'd love for you to look around the room, how many of you lost power? Raise your hand if you lost power. So look around the room. Okay, raise your hand if you had busted pipes or something like that. Busted pipes, anybody? And how about trees? That's scary. Anybody have trees? I mean, so we've had quite a bit of impact, and our schools were no different. I'd like to acknowledge a special community that's in the audience. We have middle school artists on stage right now that go to Robert Gray Middle School. That school is not able to be in session right now, so you can imagine. We had an ice storm where students could not practice their craft, and then no school to come back to. And these committed artists are here today. Will you stand up if you're from Robert Gray? I just want to say, on behalf of this community that sits in front of you, we honor you. You are here today in the midst of adversity in your community, and we support you. Thank you so much. Okay. I'm going to pass it on to my colleague, who I love dearly, and my colleague is Laura Arthur. She is the arts teacher on special assignment for music education. Her job every single day is to show up for work and ensure that high-quality arts education happens for our students K-12 across the system. And she is serious about her job. We're sitting here today watching a high-quality concert because of Laura, so I'd love to thank and bring Laura to the stage.
Thank you, Kristen. As Kristen said, I am the K-12 teacher on special assignment for all of music here in Portland Public School. What an amazing job I have. And like Kristen alluded to be able to see the growth in just the last 5 years that I've had this role has made my heart explode with warmth. So I also want to talk about this event. When I was in band in my youth, this event is what put me on my path to where I am now. Going to an honor band, seeing the highest level musicians from my area, from the state, inspired me in a way that cannot be compared to any other experience in my entire music education. So this event is very, very close and near and dear to my heart. I love putting it on, but I could not do it, and these students would not be here, and those high schoolers up in there would not be here without the tireless effort of their band directors. So if you are a PPS band director, would you please stand up so we can clap really hard for you? Conductor, who I had the honor of student teaching with when I began my own band director career. This gentleman has been a middle school band teacher for 29 years, is one of the best middle school educators in our state, and it has been incredible to watch him work magic with these kids. So, on with the show. Let me introduce you our middle school honor band conductor, Mr. Danny Hunt.
was Carl King March, Miss Liberty. Just such, I just love marches so much, so fun. Hope you're tapping your toes on that. Our next song is a piece called Nebula by Randall Standridge, and this piece depicts the vastness of space. And so if you pick your favorite kind of space movie, you're out in space floating around and what that feels like. I think that's kind of what this is supposed to depict. We're going to feature at the end a trumpet solo by Alex Nieto, 8th grade student from Harriet Tubman. This is Nebula by Randall Standridge. I didn't tell him he's going to have to stand up, so that's my fault. But he's back there in the background. Nice job. Hope you enjoyed that. Our next piece is just a really cool piece. Again, all these pieces that I chose happen to be pieces I think just depict things, kind of almost cinematic. This is another one. It's called Zip Line. And you can imagine that you're the build up to climbing up to the top of a perch and then hanging onto a zip line and like floating and soaring over different areas. And I think that's what this is doing. And really great piece by Jared Hall. We're going to follow that one with Terracotta Warriors, which is going to feature Esme Spezungle on recorder. She's from Kellogg Middle School, an 8th grader. But first, we're going to have Zip Line. We hope you enjoy this. think that last note is like, okay, the safe landing. Everything's okay, you landed on the ground. I told them when I was about 6 years old in gymnastics and had to hang from the high bar and getting off that bar as a kid and going onto the mat and kissing the floor because I was so scared up there. Before we play our final piece, I just want to express some gratitude. First, to you. If you're associated with somebody on this stage, thank you for letting me get to work with your children, your nieces, your nephews, your grandchildren. These are amazing people. It's called an honor band, and it's been 100% my honor to be in front of these students. As a middle school teacher, I'd probably say, please be quiet or give the death stare. I don't know, probably 10 times in every class period that I teach, 6 a day. Not once, not one time did I ever say that to these students. And I started this whole thing off with saying, this is an honor band, and I want you to have this memorable experience, but it's not me that's going to give that to you, it's going to be you that gives that to yourself. And how you do that is by committing everything you possibly can in every single minute that we get to be together. They did that. And so I want to thank you for allowing me to work with them. It has been such a pleasure. I really appreciate you for allowing me to have them. And students, thank you so much for this time we've had together. I appreciate you very much. I also want to say thank you very much to Laura Arthur. Dear, dear friend, amazing, amazing person. You guys are so lucky to have her here in Portland Public Schools for putting this together. And also all the Portland Public Schools middle school teachers who were working this entire time and are still working on the back of the stage to give your students a great experience. Really appreciate them. Could you please give a round of applause to the students and the teachers? And like Miss Arthur said, I'm a band director today because of a band camp experience that I had that really, when I was in 8th grade, actually. After that experience, I said, I want to be a band director because of that. And something switched inside of my body. And I never changed gears from that point on. And I'm so blessed and thankful and, honored to be able to do this job and to be here. So thank you so much for a great, great weekend. We hope you enjoy this final piece that we get to play called Terracotta Warriors. Thank you. Thank you so much.
One logistical thing I wanted to point out is this is being recorded by our wonderful PPS comms team, and it will be up on YouTube in about a week. So thank you for your patience as we process that, but production value is always amazing. So thank you to Brian, who is our videographer up there. And at the conclusion of the concert, again, you can meet your student where their case is. High school students are going to be sort of in the library, but they can always come out here to meet you. And middle schoolers will be towards the band room, but I encourage them to put their stuff away and then come out here to meet you as well. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our high school honor band director. Dr. Pham is the director of bands at Washington State University. And I met him at the same band camp that I met Mr. Hunt at many, many, many years ago, and was blown away by his musicianship and care with working with students. And I had never heard an ensemble sound so good so quickly, and you're going to hear the same thing on stage right now. I have been so impressed by their progress. Dr. Pham is a leader in music education. You can read all about his incredible adventures all over the world, bringing his musical skill and prowess to the masses. So I encourage you to read that and enjoy this incredible, incredible band behind me. And please join me in welcoming Dr. Pham.
Forgive me, this is not being disrespectful. I actually have a cough, so I'm kind of sucking on a cough drop right now. Every piece deserves just a little bit of introduction, none more than this first work. The U.S. Artillery Field March is by John Philip Sousa. He is widely known as the March King, historically one of the most important composers to ever live. This piece, though, he wrote for a military colleague. And in the middle of the work, known as the trio section of this work, there's a very, very familiar song known as the Key-Song song that is first introduced. And that song comes back again at the end. And as we mentioned to the students that there are those of you that have served or have family members that have served in the Army. That is the Army's service song. And in the past, when we've performed, this piece has been performed, do not be surprised if those members and family members of the Army do stand up, because that is their call as far as that is their service song. So not only are we performing a wonderful piece of music that Mr. Sousa wrote for his military Army colleague, this is also a tribute to those that served in the Army, and our thanks to you for your service to our country. So we hope you enjoy John Philip Sousa's U.S. Field Artillery March. So the next piece on the program is by a woman composer by the name of Lee Chan. She rose to fame more than a few years ago by this very piece. The piece is entitled Folk Song of Midu. It is actually, Midu is a mountainous region of the province of Yunnan in southwestern China. When Ms. Arthur asked me to come out, of course, I loved it, the opportunity to be able to work in this district. So many teachers that I've known for so long, as I share with the students. I first taught in Oregon more than 25 years ago. And, but one of her requests was, as much as possible, can we make it for a diverse program? So every piece on the program comes from a different region of the world. This piece comes from Southwest China, studying just the language, as all folk songs are, is a study of language, not only of the history within the folk song, but when we sing songs of a certain country, we celebrate their language as well, which is why Russian folk songs sound like Russian, because of the language, hard consonants, as English does. Music from China, if you've ever heard Mandarin Chinese, or Cantonese for that matter, it is very vowel-oriented, it's very, very quarter-tone based, but it's very, very song quality to how they speak, and that is very reflected upon, or it is reflected by this piece from the mountainous region of Midu, Yunnan. So we hope you enjoy Folk Song of Midu. The next piece on the program is entitled Lord Toolmore. This piece is by a Dutch composer that is trying to recreate Irish music. So different part of the world, different kind of music. A lot of this is very dance music. It's dance music in general, although there may be times that may sound very combative. But nonetheless, it is joyful, wonderful dance music. It should bring up images of jigs and dancing arounds and whatnot. So lots of fun, lots of notes. And students are doing a great job learning all that you're about to hear here. So it's a great celebration of music and the students. So we hope you enjoy Lord Toolmore. We have some shifting around to do for our last piece. The last piece, by the way, is entitled Lola Flores. As much as I like Blue Horizons, that's not the piece we're playing. The last piece is inside. The composer is correct, but the last piece is entitled Lola Flores. So I wanted to echo my thanks that Kristen, to Miss Arthur, to Mr. Hunt, what he said about there is one part that we want to make sure that, one gesture that we most certainly want to do before we leave this afternoon. So, to the students on stage, you have a chance to, and students up in the balcony, you have a chance to thank the most important people in your lives, not only the teachers, but your parents, for all the lessons that they provide you, the supplies, the driving around, the constant nagging, the ice cream they're going to buy for you after today's concert, all the extra presents that they're going to buy me after the concert. We want to make sure that we give thanks, because whether your students on stage, your children, grandchildren, niece, nephews perform spectacularly well, which they did, or if they were a disaster on stage, parents are still going to clap, and that cannot be taken for granted one single bit. So this is your chance, students up in the balcony, and to my wonderful students and colleagues on stage, please give a round of applause to your parents who are here today for all that they've done for you, please. Because it's so rare, I'm a dad myself, it's so rare that we parents get a chance to be in the spotlight and be thanked by our children. Because it's always, Dad, Mom. Okay. So we spoke before, our last rehearsal, right before they went, they changed into their attire on stage. To share a little bit about what I do is I am the luckiest person on the planet to be able to do what I get to do. I get to work with not only students that you see on stage, I have the smartest students on my campus at Washington State University, and I get to work with music professionals on a weekly basis, and my job is to make people happy. And I get to go and make music, and I thank God for every second I have this job. My wife is a nurse, and I do not share with her my bad days, because my bad days do not compare to my wife's bad days. Because the worst my day gets is someone played on a tune, she gets punched in the face or something, so, and that's a real pain for my wife. She as a registered nurse. But that being said, it's part of my job is to be a center of campus, and the musicians I get to work with, they're not all professionals. The musicians I get to work with at the university level are not all music majors. And as we were discussing on stage, not really discussing, I told them I was their dad at that moment, and I was telling them that for students that performed earlier and the ones that are playing on stage, it is borderline criminal that beyond high school, after their 12th grade, they sit there and they say, all right, here's my instrument that I've played for so long, I'm done with this. I'm done with this. I get to work with, I have met more, I was telling this to Arthur just yesterday, this year I've met more 90, 80, and 70-year-olds still playing their instruments. And it's one of those things that you can still do at an advanced age. I've not met a single person this year that has said, boy, I'm really glad I gave up my instrument. I'm really glad I gave up music. And I'm not saying that they need to major in music with Washington State University. That's not what I said to them earlier. I said, have music to be as a part of your life. You have a chance to make music as a part of your life the rest of your life. Whether that be with me down the road, or in your community group, or playing at church, playing for your family only, make this a part of your life. This is so vitally important. In the day and age that entertainment is as easy as swiping a phone, staring at those little dots on the screen and whatnot, as opposed to being able to engage both at synaptically, emotional, and mental level, as what they're doing is so incredibly important. Do not, all you students up there, and ones on stage, do not give up this. You are too good. You're far too good to be doing this to just say, I'm going to stop. So it's my plea as one parent to another, to all of you, encourage your children to continue this, because people that I get to work with, it's no secret. I work with doctors, lawyers, and I'm not talking about professional doctors and lawyers. I'm talking about my own students who are doctors, lawyers. They intern with congressmen. One of my former students is trying every day, waking up, trying to cure cancer. And all those things, those most brilliant students that I see on campus, every single one of them, who are smarter than me, they thank God that they had music, that they just guided them through what they were doing during their lives. And I don't think that's a coincidence that I have seen so many smart, intelligent, incredibly successful people be a part of music. That is no coincidence. And if it is, then fine. It's the greatest anecdotal evidence that I've ever seen in my life. Please, please, please continue what they're doing here. They're doing fantastic work. I'm encouraging that. My son's going to be working for one of these leaders on stage in the future. So keep doing what you're doing. So thank you, all parents, for everything that you've done for not only in your lives, these students, but for the community and for music here in Portland Public Schools. Very, very, very important. The last piece of the program is a Spanish paso doble, which is basically a dance that's reminiscent of flamenco style dancing. It's a little bit of a song and dance because you do sing in this type of paso doble, but it's a piece from Spain. You should see images of bullfights and a little bit of wonderful singing and hard, sharp angle dancing and whatnot. This is Lola Flores. Hope you enjoy. Thank you so very much for being here this afternoon.
don't know what you're waiting for, we're done. Sorry, no more, maybe next year. Thanks for coming, everyone.